Hello everyone, another night, part 2 tonight, part 2 of practicing the Bach Minuet. Now if you remember last night, we set this all up. We told ourselves what we are going to do. We didn't talk about every aspect, but we talked about the lengths, very important, lengths, handleable lengths. So the first length tonight, I want to dive right in. The first length has the following notes, with more or less that rhythm, more or less those fingers. I'll seat here, get myself seated properly. But that's not what we're going to practice. It is those notes, it is those fingers, it is that rhythm. We can slow it down if I have any trouble or anything, or if you were to have trouble with it, no problem with that. But what we're learning right now is how we're going to hit the keys to play this. I'm going to play a dot, dot it, dot it, dot it, dit. Dot, dot it, dot it, dot. Now, some of you might look, well, Jeff, you got these half notes down here, okay, and you didn't hold those, you just hit them. Well, what I'm concerned about is particularly hitting the 3 and the 4 together here, hitting them, not pushing the fingers down one after the other and hope I get them together. Hitting those two. I'll do it again so you can see it. If I can explain this first phrase, you're going to learn a lot about practicing. Those fingers have to learn to come together. The 5 and the 3. The 3 and the 4 rolling off to the C and then landing back on the 3 and the 5. And then these two short notes. As far as the long notes go, it's going to be much easier for me to make them longer and to make a nicer sound if I pedal them. Now that's what I didn't, it's one of the things I did not write in last night, okay, was this pedaling. So I'll write it in now. It's very, very detached pedaling. And this is what it's going to look like right here. See my little detached pedals right there, and there? You see them? I will now play it that way. I'm not going to go fast. I'm going to go rather slowly. It was funny, going that speed, I had a tendency to use pedal on that 4th finger. But if I go at the right tempo, although I don't know, I kind of like it there. A little help with the sound on that 4 and 3. It also kind of solidifies the 4 and 3. This is what happens when you're practicing. But I'm trying to express the meter. Remember that. The notes will take care of themselves. We have to express the meter. 1, 2, and 3, and 1, 2, 3. Now do it with the pedal. Sounds pretty good, doesn't it? Yeah, it's sounding pretty good. So it's the way I'm playing. I try to get the camera set up tonight so you can see a little bit of this, okay? Coming in close. I'll play it again one more time. Now there's one thing I'm leaving out, believe it or not, of that arrow. And that is this little guy we talked about last night. Right there, that little blue guy. Not very well drawn, but it's like a little arrow. Now what is that? Well, I'll show you. I'll play the first one again. See if you can see that little blue arrow at the end. You see it? Now, I'm not going to be going up and staying on it. I'm going to be going up to hit that key. But I've got to be ready to go there. But right now, we're not going to make the connection. But that little move is actually part of that first arrow. This is where you hear people playing and they go, and they leave like a whole beat out. Well, that's going to happen later. We're not worried right now, though, about connecting these arrows. We're interested in getting the arrows played correctly. Notice I use my Morse code again. My dot, dot it, dot it, dot it, dit. I use that Morse code again. You're going to be hearing me use it all the way through the piece. Okay, that one's not too bad. And so the next guy, which is he? Do we have anything spectacular here? Well, let's look. Dot, dot it, dot it, dot it. It's almost well, it is a mirror image or an echo of this one in terms of the Dahs and Dits. But we don't have anything like this guy with that 3 and 4 in this one. This one's actually a little bit easier. The first beats are the only ones that have both hands on them. Okay? And it's a funny thing about arrows. It's a good idea. at the beginning of an arrow to put the fingers in on the at least the first beat, because that way, if you start on the arrow, you don't guess on the C here. Some people might put a 1 there to start practicing it. It's going to be a 2. We have to know that. So I'll get my hand set for this right here, and dot, dot it, dot it, dot it, dit. The pedaling will probably be pretty much the same. Now, some people might say, well, Jeff, the notes are long in the left hand. Well, that's true. But I'm not going to hold them all the way through. Like that. I'm not going to do that. Only because of the fact that, first of all, I think it doesn't sound the way I want it to sound. Now, I am using the pedal there again on those same spots, except I'm not doing it on that third beat where I did it with the 3/4 before. So when I'm practicing, and if I have trouble with it, I go slower, set my metronome. As long as I'm doing my Dahs and Dits right to maintain the meter. See, what happens when you slow down is it doesn't sound like the piece anymore, kind of, but that's why you have to know the rhythm so well, so you can slow it down and apply the proper physical application to these guys. Drops and rolls. This piece has either a free fall or the drop and roll. Free fall, dot it, drop and roll, drop and roll, drop and roll slower, and then two staccato. That you could consider that a free fall. You might consider those staccato. I don't think you play them that short. Free fall. Yeah, those are free falls. But those are kind of staccato-ish. All right. Now, on to our next boy, right here. Both fours, bum, ba-da-da-da-dum. And I'm going to use some pedal here. I'm going to stop there. And you'll probably see why I did what I did last night. Maybe you won't. I might have disagreements on this. But I don't think I'm wrong, and I'll tell you why. Now there it goes da-da-da-dit. I'm suspect of that. I think would probably be better. I think the music we have to take a look at, and we have to judge that ourselves. So I'm going to put this in right now. I'm going to put, come on you. I'm going to put these two little dot it. See, this is where, again, whiteout. I'm glad this happened. This is fun. I love doing this because this makes me learn the pieces fast. I'm a very fast learner of pieces because I have them organized. I know what it is what my hands have to learn, not what my brain has to learn. Let me make one more small edit. I'll do it to the other one too while I'm at it. There we are. Good, okay. Remember our friend. We have a great friend in whiteout, all right? So, okay. Now this is what it looks like. Do you see what I did? I got rid of the, I made sure the beams here were only 2 beams and a beam across 2 notes instead of all 4. There are instances where it will be over all 4, of course. But right here, I think, with the tempo I'm going on, with the meter we have, to make those 2 dot dits. So, I'll play that one again. Nice and comfortable. And I pedal that second one, and I stop. I'm not trying to play the piece. When you read from note to note to note to note to note, you're not getting anywhere. Hands have no idea what's going on. Sorry, bad pedaling. Okay, now, the next guy's pretty short. If you remember him, he was the one that just walked down on the dot it, dot it, dot. You have that short note at the end here. I do not pedal that. In fact, it should have probably been marked staccato. Oh, I did mark it last night, staccato. Okay, good. Or was it? No, I think it was marked in the original score that way, right here. Yeah, there's a little staccato on that. Okay. So, what is that guy? Well, let's take a look. I don't use any pedal there. If I did, I would push the pedal down and right up with the keys. Down and up with it. We'll talk about that kind of pedaling at some point. So he's pretty simple. Then we have the one that's really from you know where. I want to make a point about this note. This is very important. I've had kids when they start here, they play the G with it. And I go, why are you playing the G? They say, well, that one's going to be sounding while you play this. And I tell them, no, no, no. When we put these together, you're just going to keep that down. But rhythmically, there is nothing with that C. Just because you're holding a note does not make it does not put it rhythmically on the second beat of the measure, on the 2 end, on the 2 of 2 end. I know it's like, well, Jeff, it's not going to sound right because, well, that's true. It's not going to sound like it will be when it's finished. But rhythmically, this is all you play. Now here comes our fun guy. We have dot it, dot it, dot it, dot it. That's how long I made the arrow. The right hand's playing, and the left hand's playing, which of course brings up this concept of practicing the hands alone. Let me make a quick footnote here regarding that concept. You can't practice the hands alone in a piece if they're playing together, if they're playing at the same time. You can play the hand alone to establish what you're going to do, what fingers you're going to use. Nothing wrong with playing that a million times, but you're not practicing the piece. Nothing wrong with going. Nothing, and getting used to that. There are going to be little free falls there. But you're not practicing it unless you put them together. But, Jeff, I'm having trouble doing that. Well, do it slower. Very slow. To make sure everybody's working correctly, oiled right, coming off the keys, do it slower. And then work your speed up very, very gradually from the slow speed you can do it at which you can do it. There we are. I'll rephrase it. So, that one. Yeah, it's quite a mouthful, okay? But that's what it is. I don't use any pedal in that, I don't think. Again, I might do a quick down up on with the more accented note on the first beat. I'm going to try to get it set up so you can see both the pedal and my hands. Didn't do it tonight, so I'm just telling you what I'm doing with the pedal. I can draw it in. I've drawn it in a couple of places here, and I'll post it with the pedal. I'll repost the file. Here I use it. Here I use it. I know you're not seeing it. I'll show you in a second. By the one I said I hit down and up, that's this. That would be this guy right here. I'm playing him and of course him. When I play them short, the pedal, I go down and up with the pedal, right with it, down, up, bomb, down, up, that way. Is there an advantage? It probably gets an extra little bit of length, but it gets a much fuller sound. That's what you're interested in. And then we have, of course, the last arrow here, where the 2 and the 5 came together, and there was a ghost in there. There was a little ghost in there. We'll worry about it later. It's going to come here, but be aware of the left hand. It's not a real ghost if you can reach the octave. For people that can reach the octave, this is really not a ghost. But right now, we'll just play that last arrow, and this is what it is. I want to see if I play that with the pedal. I think I might use a little on that 7th. Just a touch of it on that 7th. That's questionable. I'll put a question mark next to that one. All right, so now we've completed our 6-word sentence. That doesn't mean we're putting them together. We have arrow 1, arrow 2, arrow 3, arrow 4, arrow 5, 6. So we know the working parts. We probably recognize that we are a little late on getting to some of the arrows. That's all right now, because we're not trying to do that. We're trying to establish the parts, what the parts are requiring. I'll tell you right now, I know a lot of kids that have to practice 3 arrows. They are these. And it's a good idea to try to maybe get 3 of them in order where you know there's going to be hot water. That's the 3 of them together. Very busy, kind of gnarly part for a grade 2 student. All right, So that's the first part, first sentence. Now, a teacher might say to you, well, the next part, the right hand's the same. And you go, oh, good, then I don't have to work too hard on it. Well, that's not true. That's not true. This is where we had the overlapping arrow, by the way, right here. This is the next sentence. Next sentence takes us down to there, of course. And that's the end of the first, not only the sentence, the paragraph. All right, got to get you people thinking like that. So here, you have the 2 and the 5. Up here you had the chord. The 2 wasn't here. This is different. The hands are going to go, Jeff, this isn't the same. They're quite right. So, starting here, we have our 2, dot, dot it, dot it. We have another one of these guys like we had up here. So we got to be very careful here. Then we have this. The arrow ends there. So the first arrow here is going to be this. Okay, that's enough. That's enough. Get your dotage right. Hit the keys properly. Be ready for the 3 and the 3 here. Not much nicer this time. The 2 3s come together. Whenever you get those parallel fingerings, they're always a little bit easier to come into these when you got those two. Before it was 3 and 4, a little tougher. But now, and yes, do we analyze it this way? Yeah, well, I mean, we're trying to tell the hands what to do. Anything we can tell them that makes things easier, tell them. So I'll do it again. I'm sorry, I didn't go far enough. Okay, then the next arrow is going to be this. It's going to be the overlapping arrow right here. We're going to play starting here now. Ba-dum-bum. So this arrow now is, and I've got to make sure of my finger down here, it's going to be a 4. And those two have to be bounced on, not this. I hear kids that do that. They're not learning the piece. They're not learning the piece. There is pedal on that first note, and then no pedal on the next two. When you put those together and make it, you can, whenever you have an overlap arrow, well, you're eventually going to connect them all anyway, but this one's going to be, could have I made it 2 arrows? Could have, I suppose, with, and then the reason I didn't is because I think to play these two without the, kind of breaks up the continuity of that da, dit, dit. So it seemed important to play that part of it. Then we end up going up to, and there's that little ghost again right at the end of this one, right here, a little ghost. You know, when you're practicing that last arrow, remember, you know, you eventually, when you're connecting them, that hand is going to be on its way up to that E. But that's later. That's later. All these connections are later. And what you do for those connections, by the way, I think you probably figured it out by now, is when you're practicing putting things together, practice that one to that one, that arrow to that arrow. And you'll start to see you've got to get that guy on the move. But to play the whole line is a waste of time if all you want to do is make that connection. This connection, creating that group is going to be relatively easy. This is the group here, these 2 arrows. As long as you're playing arrow lengths, you're doing the words. And as long as you're saying the words, you're okay. You're on safe ground. That's why it's an important concept. So, okay. Now, the next arrow is an overlap also. He's pretty simple, right here. Bum ba da, bum ba da ba da bum, and you go into the 2 notes here. But the one after that gets busier than before we played this. Well, that was like part of one bigger arrow. But now we've got an arrow that goes, and that gets dit, da, dit, yeah, da, dit, da, dit. And you want that hand to do the da, dits. You want to make sure you're coming up off those keys. And I recommend overdoing them at first. When you play it later and you've learned it, you're not going to go overboard that much on dot it, dot it. You're not going to be doing that. But your hands will know it. You can still hear it, kind of. Okay? So, be patient when you're practicing. Get the Dahs and Dits right. Wrong finger, Jeff. Okay? So, one more line left. Yeah, one more line left. This is the one that, we can mark the connections you're going to have to work on first. Those are always pretty obvious. This is going to be one because you got to get onto that thumb here. And once you're there, life is a beautiful thing. Oh, here again. Let me make these dotted. So I'm going to repost this. I wouldn't take the time here to do this if I wasn't going to repost it. So you can see the group of 2/8. 2/8, yes. As opposed to that long slur. In fact, why don't I get rid of those while I'm at it? That would be a good idea. Get rid of that slur, get rid of this slur, and put in all those little dotted so you can see them. They're telling you what to do with your hands. You have to. That's why they're important to be in there. And I probably should have done them last night. Okay, they are now done. Okay, take a look. Take a look. Take a look. Right here. Okay, dot it, dot it, dot it, dot it, dot it, dot it, dot at the bottom, right at the bottom there. That's the whole line. The next arrow will be, of course, this. That's the next arrow. Now remember last night I was talking about the B here. Okay, the B right there. We didn't prepare him yet. And the reason is, let me show you. If you look at the piano, I'm going to show you why 3 is really the better finger. Watch me play it. 3 is a great finger to put there. But we just finished. What people think here is that when you're doing it, they put a 1 there because their hand was on the 2 here, and they put a 1. And I'm not saying it's terrible. And you rotate over into the 2 here. But if you have a 3 here, it's much more natural. But you got to get there. But the thing is, most people see the half note G and go, oh, I've got to hold him down for the whole time. Well, we know we really don't. Watch. I had a wrong finger on top, by the way. It's eventually going to walk up to that D. So I personally think the 3 is a better finger. But you're going to get legato players that tell you 1's the better finger. And I'm not putting it down. But what it does is it gives you it keeps you in that territory of I've got to hold him until I play this. And that's that legato thing where you lose the rhythm. I think hitting that key is a better thing. So I'm going to put 3 because I do think it's a superior finger. But remember, if you want to renotate, which I do all the time, if you want to renotate it, I would make this a quarter note with a quarter rest right here, like so. I will show you. I would make that a quarter note with a quarter rest, showing it you're not going to hold him. I'm not going to hold him. My hand is going to look like this. And that, I had plenty of time to get the 3 there. So, let me play that target. I mean that arrow. Target's a different thing. Piece of cake. And eventually, after the other one, you can see how much time I had there. I'll even draw the little, when I repost it, I'll draw the little ghost there. So you're aware of the fact that it's all very, very, very doable here. You got tons of time to ghost that guy. Blue is a ghost. Blue is you're moving the hand. Hand is in motion. Like they say, the backfield is in motion. Well, your hand's in motion. Here, watch that. Watch that third finger get there. Here, I'll show you. I had all day to do that. Now, the last little guy, he has an interesting thing here that we talked about last night. If you remember, well, I'll show you the 2 possibilities. Now, if you look at the right hand, and we'll play it alone so we can check a fingering, you've got to play these notes. And 2 is going to go over. Now, with 2 with 2 rotating over, you can come right back to the 1. He's still kind of sitting there. But some people like to go to the 3 because their hand is now, I think the 3 is more natural in a way. Because your hand has moved down. You're not going back up again. It's moved down. This is a very personal taste, personal ability kind of thing, whatever clicks with you. I kind of like the 3, but I've probably used the 1 years ago and let it stay there. There's just something about it that is, after all my years of playing, is very non-pianistic to do the 1. So I'm going to make that officially 3 right now, but hopefully you'll remember when you see that could be a 1. I'm not knocking the 1. I just find it to be staying in like a position, and I just can't stand that concept. And once you hit that bottom note, the pedal can take over from there. So that's how you would go through it. Now, which connections are the ones that should be done probably first? Well, the one on the top of the page, I'll draw a little blue between them, that one. Going from here to here, you don't do anything. There's really no, that one's going to flow nicely. That one to that one, arrow is going to go nicely. This one to this one's going to go nicely. The problem is that arrow, okay, the arrow itself. This one a little bit, not a big deal. So far the biggest one's been that. And that arrow. Then getting from here to here again, nothing. There's no real connection, even though it's the end of the sentence. This one's pretty simple. This connection here is simple. This one has the same connection as the beginning, different finger in the left hand. This is the arrow again. There's nothing tough about the connection. Here you have a connection interest right here, getting from this arrow to the next guy, because you got to get that thumb down to the A. Watch my hand, you'll see it. Dot it, da. That thumb's got to come down on that A. So there's a little issue. So here you've got, I drew it in already, you've got to bring that 3 up. And then here, no problem with the connection at all. Yeah, so there's no problem there. So hopefully this has all shown you, this is how I work on everything. And I think some people think, well, that's the way you teach, Jeff. But I know you probably don't do that for your own music. Well, let me tell you, I'm learning, and I pretty much learned it, the Clair de Lune. And if you look here, you will see my arrows, okay? Now, I do have a student studying it, so I drew them in for her too, but I drew them in for me originally. Because I didn't want to practice too much. I wanted to practice things that made sense as a group. So, yeah, and what do I write in? Well, another thing you'll see written in is stuff like this. You see that 82? That is not the speed that this piece goes at. That's the speed I could play a certain part with perfectly, and it was within what I call my reaction time. Reaction time, never exceed your reaction time when you're working on something, because then you'll get it wrong. And every time you get it wrong, you're teaching the fingers wrong. I mean, in your mind, you go, oh, I'll correct that. But when you do stuff with the fingers, they're learning it. They don't know whether it's right or wrong. They haven't got a clue. So you have to impress on them. It's like brainwashing, in a way. It's total brainwashing. But they're brainless. So they're inanimate objects that are learning. But boy, when they learn, whoop, stand back. That's how you play fast at the end. You can't think of everything. You're letting the fingers kind of do what they feel. They feel that piece. They feel that part of the piece. So hopefully this has been enlightening. I've had a lot of fun doing it because it gave me a chance to show begin. Now we're not at the end yet. Now the practicing phase takes place, and I can't go through that with you. I know how to play it, so it's basically. I think I played it online. I did. It's a Jeff Baker piano on YouTube. If you type in Jeff Baker Bach Minuet, you can watch me play it, and you can hold me to some of these things and go, I didn't see you drop and roll there, Jeff. And you can play it at 50% speed, 25% speed. You can really get inside of it and take a look. Maybe I'll put that link on the broadcast tonight when I post it. Okay, so we'll see you tomorrow. Maybe another subject. Definitely another subject. And be good overnight. And it's the weekend, so we'll look forward to that. And when words fail, music speaks.